Hey there, guys. All right, Mike Ortiz here, and just a quick one. I'm going to break this down. I'm answering a couple questions here on YouTube on our channel, and wanted to start with this. Just say, let's get right to the questions of, can you show how to set up the new AI voice with proper prompts? Okay, I'm going to get right to it without hesitation. We'll come around to the next questions on the next few videos, but I want to start with never neglecting what Vincent van Gogh said. He said, great things aren't done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. That's going to bring us to, I'm going to stop sharing my face. We'll just get right into this, right into the how to set up the AI voice with proper prompts. Let's go straight to our back end of GoHighLevel. And what I've done, I'm going to move this little guy out of the way. What I've done here is I've actually created an SOP. So you'll see it in my last notes was I'm going to go and get down and dirty with this and really truly break this down for you guys. So you can see this here on the screen, and literally it is a step-by-step like SOP, which a lot of people wonder what the heck, why are you creating SOPs? But ultimately, this will keep you on track. I mean, this is truly a step-by-step process. If anything, it's just a checklist with a little bit of information on the side. But standard operating procedures is what we roll by too, as far as work and business, so that we don't get lost, right? It keeps people on track. Of course, this is what it looks like late at night, well, us working at long hours, right? But it's what it takes. So this is what we're going to go. And I broke this down. This is last year, the end of last year before Christmas came, right? And it was like, okay, I'm just going to pump it out. The question came in, but Christmas came quickly. So I am doing it this year. New year 2025, and here we go. I'm happy to share this too. I'll put this link in the description, or for this SOP specific one, I'll put a copy of this in the description for you to grab. So feel free to do that. Hey, and food's ready. Cool. I'm excited. Let's get this done. So the goal, obviously, like we said, set up an AI bot, booking bot for lead generation, nurturing, and appointment setting on autopilot. Right? We want to do that on autopilot, but via SMS, Facebook, and Instagram. So those are the three things. The goal of it, or the outcome, is very clear. We do not want people to let people slip through the cracks. It doesn't matter. If you're a renting agency, sales team, contractor, it doesn't matter. This is the key. We want to make sure that leads coming in and appointments getting set in the calendar. And this can be done. We've already seen it many times with our clients doing really well. One of them already has passed $1 million in revenue. So, and they're just going to keep getting better this year. So prerequisites and requirements. We always make sure you have GoHighLevel. You can't do this without it. There are other platforms out there, but this one crushes every one of them, in my opinion. And so you'll see us use that 24/7 in this tutorial and give you kind of a breakdown of how that looks. But if you don't have an account, we've got you covered. Like 30-day trial. Just make sure, grab this link. Go through the steps, set yourself up, and you'll be good to go. Obviously, this guide is the free guide, and there's also a mini course too we have available for you. Happy to get you onboarded and show you what that looks like so you get familiar with the platform. If you're not, if you are, great. Grab onto this part right here, the most important, preparing your bot. That's the huge part of this. And people are like, well, what kind of prompts should I be using? I had a lot of questions around that. We'll get to that soon. Next is make sure you have a Google Calendar, right, set up with your high-level system, which it's an easy, you can't not ask for easier integration. Outlook has been a little bit, picky here and there. I'm not going to say anything horrible about it, but I just think that Google Calendar has been nothing but the best when you're going to sync something up and use it for scheduling. Right? It's optional, but recommended for syncing appointments highly regarding Google Calendar. So I'm going to just underline that because that's pretty key. Then basic knowledge of, how you get around. Obviously, you can learn that through our course. And then virtual assistant, right? It doesn't matter who it is. It could be your grandma, literally. They don't have to be a high-tech, heavy duty, well-read developer, all that stuff, or even have tons of experience. It's not about that. This is super basic. So this is one thing we always say too. The studies show that bots are being used. They are being used, and there's going to be some serious numbers heading forward as we pick up the pace. And right now we're seeing conversion of over 80%. That's what's crazy. So if people are using bots because they can respond faster than the average Joe, and especially if they have a business already running, you want to get clients. And the key is, it's like, hey, well, they better be ready to answer within a 15-minute period, right? Or sorry, 5-minute period. 15 is stretching it. That's the max. You don't want to go past that. But if you're going to do this within 5 minutes, answering questions and calls, or, people are like, okay, I'm going to stick with you. Otherwise, they're scrolling and moving on to the next person, and they're going to get the next available, responsive company who's going to take care of them. So that's key. That's why we set up these bots, because they can handle it quickly, efficiently, answer questions, and especially if you prepare them. That's what I'm going to get to after this. We're going to be preparing our bot, right? That's the key, with the right prompts, the right instructions, the right data, all that. So then, where is this done? Obviously, GoHighLevel. We have a Google Doc here we're using. That's the two main things you need when this is done. Obviously, once you're done and finished and set up, good. You're good to go. That's pretty much a set it, but not forget it. You can kind of check in every now and then, but we've seen even our clients that use it as well as ours. We go in and you tweak it, make it better, optimize it, right? Minor, though. You don't have to do major, just minor optimization. Don't go crazy, because that could wreck the thing. You don't want to do that, but just fine tuning, right, along the way. Then who does this is the best candidate is the business owner, who get familiar so they understand it, understand the system. The better they can use the tool, the better they can be efficient and aftermath in getting this to do what they want it to. Or the agency owner, the admin with access, right, who says, hey, I want my team to be super understanding, have a really well done, and it's how this works, the back end, so we can do this, efficiently and get leads, get that workflow in place, get appointments, get bookings. That's the key, right? Booking bot. So that's what this is all about, an AI booking bot. So it could be the virtual assistant, it could be someone with no tech. It doesn't matter, because there's no real hard, suppressing things with regards to doing this. But it is clear instructions, as you read this going forward, it'll be really easy to eliminate the need for advanced tech skills, I put. And that's key. You don't have to. Clear instructions make that possible. So that's what I did this for. The SOP itself, it is that guide. It's all this is. Introducing someone, if it's the first time, how to get familiar with this, really simple steps. With those included technical details, right, that are broken down simply. You can be, the most, like, I am not heavy tech, love it, I'm a nerd about it, but I'm not sitting there just or reading online all the time. I just go and get busy, learn it, get it down, and keep on moving, right? So this is key. Obviously, the tools needed, as I said, is you definitely need GoHighLevel, and then AI booking add-on enabled. So, right, there was a free, season of AI for up until the the last day of December of last year. But here we go with the new year, right? And they're super inexpensive. I could, seriously kick pennies around, which are very rare nowadays, right? Having pennies even in your pocket. So, but that's the cost. It's really minimal to use this, and then it's worth it in the end, because people booking, getting appointments, making the sales regarding how much you're putting out, and then your return on your investment is huge. So it's way worth it. You need access to your calendar settings, right? And workflows and high-level integration tools. There's a few with regards to the Google Calendar or Outlook if you choose. There also is Calendly, a couple other choices, but I recommend, again, highly recommend Google Calendar. And that's just our opinion, working with as an agency with many clients, seeing the need, right? It's like that fits the need every time. There's a lot less issues, all that stuff. Predefined booking pages, right? And automations. So we're going to get familiar with that pretty quickly. And then there are steps. Here are the steps. Initial setup. Number one is that first phase. And I put it in phases, right? So even if you come back around to it the day later, you're like, oh, I'm going to get this down, but just this part, this first phase could be like, okay, now I'm getting comfortable. Then take it in phases and you won't get overwhelmed, right? So that's kind of the thought. Each phase makes sense with regards to the steps you take. And then even as you go through this all the way to the end, the fourth phase, I even put it in here, a simplified version, right? As an example to test if you wanted to do that. So that you could use as an example, you use with a financial advisor as the example. The person you're working with could be an financial advisor and you're like, hey, I want to set this up for them so that they get the leads and start making some money. And then obviously you get paid, right? So the key though, number one step, and I always say this is pretty important for anyone. Doesn't matter if it's, hey, you want to start your SaaS company, you got to start understanding, who am I going to work with? So since this is us working with a mixture of industries and niches, the focus for this example, again, is financial advisors who need to generate motivated leads. However, so you can apply this process to any type of business that relies on booking more qualified appointments. Could be health clinics, attorneys, mobile auto detailers, right? They all need appointments, plumbers, roofers, all those guys, the financial advisors included, and real estate agents, insurance, companies, their, teams, right? Insurance companies with their core team that need to sell and help their clients, right? They need to get bookings, of course, to stay in business. So yeah, anything like that. You would just think about that through for a moment though. Who does it make sense for most that you are like, hey, this is who I would love to work with? Don't go after the people that you're like, same situation, like going after people you're not really into working with. You're like, that would be a drain on me. It feels like it'd be heavy lifting. Not that it's not good to have a little, tough obstacle to overcome, because it makes you better as you learn this. But ultimately, go for someone that really makes sense. The company's making money. They're doing well. Maybe it's someone that right? There are plenty of them out there. I always say some of the most non-sexy companies are the ones to fire up first, because those are the ones that actually need the most help. And if they're just needing someone like you to step in with the AI, they're going to be excited, right? Because they need the tech, and that will blow doors for the company, their competition, because they're going to think, hey, we do need this. We should get on board. We haven't, given that really the real true opportunity. And the people that are looking at them, their competitors are probably like, wow, they're already ahead of the game. They're using AI, getting appointments. So it's a win-win. And so then step two, obviously creating qualifying questions. That would be huge. So think for a moment of what those things that are necessary, right, for that specific industry to help you in fine-tuning like a filter to getting these leads in the door, right? What is that clear, those hard must-have questions? Sometimes that's what it takes. Think about that to get qualified leads in the door, because that's what you want to do. And these are just examples. So the lead is a high-income professional or small business owner looking to grow their wealth, right? Specifically, build wealth. And the second one is they're interested in long-term financial planning and investment strategies tailored to their goals, right? Specifically, like, hey, I want to retire by year 50, right? The average, or earlier, sooner. Tax savings. What is it? They want to really save a ton on taxes. So are these the guys, the financial advisors? Yes. I mean, obviously that's one of the big ones. Who doesn't want to save taxes? And then they currently have investable assets, right? That's a big part of this. Understanding what kind of assets they need to really invest in, which they don't. Try to avoid too many things that lure people to try to invest in and boom, take it for their money. But these financial advisors have plenty of input, so you want them to have that. They currently have investable assets like this, like 401k. Is that the right way to go? 100,000 or more, right? And that's key. If you could, kind of fine tune that for them, that is going to be huge on the other end of what shows up at the door and starts making those phone calls. So they're actively searching for professional advice, right, to maximize returns and reduce financial risks. So think of these four just as example to create as the qualifying questions for this bot. So that person doesn't waste their time, who you're getting the leads for isn't wasting their time or money or energy in getting the wrong people into the calls, into these booking through the AI bot, the AI booking bot. So then you create this criteria. That's a huge part of this. This next step 3 is create our disqualifying criteria. So putting in, this is part of teaching the AI bot, right, what not to do, what we don't want you putting your energy into. So the lead has no investable assets or savings, right? They have no interest in long-term financial planning, things like that. It just keeps going as or, if the company is based in the U.S., obviously it has to be a U.S. resident, or look at, this is the big one we put in there every time. They only want to get rich quick schemes or speculative investments. So that is not the way to go even for our clients. They're not looking for that, right? They want some solid people who are looking to truly do it correctly, do it honestly, do it real, be the whole way through looking to accomplish the goal the right way. So this just helps avoid all that. When you put these disqualifying criteria, the bot is ready to go, okay, well, this doesn't make sense because a person doesn't stay on track. They haven't answered this question. They're not open discussing their current financial situation. They're not a U.S. resident, right? If that's supposed to be a U.S. person in the U.S. they work with because it's a U.S.-based company, or get rich quick schemes, right? They're looking for the fast fix. So it's something that can be set up really simply. Then step 4, we're going to be going into creating a prompt. Okay, this prompt is pretty important too, to exactly as it's shown, because we worked on this, fine-tuned this a few times and learned the lessons, and also dug in with some advisors and people we work with, as well as gleaning from people who've done it, really fine-tuning this with regards to using the tools itself, right? So learning, how should this be laid out? How should this be posted? And so this is a quick, easy, prompt that can be plugged in, and we put it all the way, let's see, so example questions to ask, all the way down to here. So pretty important. You can take this, plug it in, right, and fine tune it for whatever industry that is. But this is, again, specifically for the financial advisor. And then this is a pretty key one too, keeping responses under a certain amount of words, because the more you're wordy, the more that's going to come on the other end of a cost out of your pocket, right? Not necessarily leave with the client, but unless you say, hey, I'm going to run this and build myself, which is something you can do if it's a first time client. You're like, hey, I just want to get you leads. I want to get you your first few appointments. How does that sound? A great way to go, great way to start, because then you can make your money back when they start getting appointments and close their sales, and boom, you're off and running to get your business off the right track. If not, if it's, hey, I just want to make sure that the client, they can take those fees, and it's not much. Trust me, it's really inexpensive with GoHighLevel. And then you're getting probably the best rates, if anything, the best rates on the planet. But there is a few things here that are pretty key. And when we're trying to be very clear about how they're communicating, right? That's the important thing. You want to make sure that they are understanding how to communicate, what way to represent the company that you're setting up the AI bot for, if it's yours, right? The key is to understand that first and foremost, what your values are. What do you want this bot to hold to, right? And then clearly laying out that your job is to help assist, to help, right? Help be a helpful assistant to help them, those that you're working with, and keep them engaged with guiding questions. So this is for the sake of the client and using the bot, right, to be engaged with these guiding questions. So if that makes sense, we're not trying to just get them off onto, hey, bye, but you want to have that helpful assistant, right? And that's going to be huge, the way it responds. Then get the answers to the questions as organically as possible. You don't want to have people going off on tangents, right? And unnatural, or feel like it is a bot, because sometimes that'll really throw people off. They're already, have a busy day or whatever it may be, and then this thing pops up in their, Instagram feed or social media, and they're like, wow, okay, I've seen enough about AI already. I want to just have get help, the help I need, right? What are they looking for? And so that's part of this process, right? Fine tuning, helping ask questions like these, like, if you train the bot right, can't go wrong. So, and then would you like to book, a call to discuss your options? And it's a simple no-brainer, right? We could always refine that too to make it sound even less of a pressure, where you could say, and if you're not opposed to it, right, we could always book a call and discuss what your options look like. If you're open to it, right, let me know, that kind of a thing. It's a very good way to be non-salesy and non-pushy, even through your bot, right? So the more info, the better, but don't ever be pushy. That would be huge. So then once it's set up, you're going to encourage them. Here's a big one. Encourage them to book a no pressure call with you or your sales rep, whoever that may be, right? As you tell this bot exactly what you want them to do. It's pretty important. So here's the one thing we can say is, right, the point of the call is to give them a clear direction on how to retire early and be financially free in 10 years or less. We're a no pressure company with and extremely friendly. So that's just an example. And then this is what we put at the end was, note, the call won't be valuable to them if we don't have answers to those questions up front. So that's very, very, very important. And then don't allow specific rules. Like, we want to make sure that the following is true. We want to make sure that they can answer these on every level, because if they don't, there's key. Like, it's not a waste of time. It's just going to move on. And then say, thanks for your time. Have a great day, or things like that. Very simple closeout if it doesn't. But if we don't allow them to book appointment if any of the following is true. And so that's what we put in here for that rule. That prompt, again, all this can be put into the bot very simply. And then all you do is build it out on high level. So create the calendar. We can do that and show you really quickly how this works. We're going to go into high level. And first and foremost is calendars, right? AI agents come second, but you definitely want to come into calendars, the calendar section. And there's a lot of obviously pre-made things we've been working on for quite a while. Like I said, different timeframes, different outlook of what the outcome is. But all you're going to be doing is, in this instance, is create a personal booking bot. Okay, that's the first thing you do. Bound outreach, right? Where there's already examples in here, but what this is going to be for the AI booking bot. So we're going to just write that here so we don't forget. We could always change this calendar name later. Then select a team member. I'll select myself in this case. Then the calendar name, we're going to put the quick, we can put that for 15-minute. Oops. Yeah, we'll put that for 15-minute booking. Do dashes. There we go. So then we keep that for the end of this URL, right? And it's a custom, so you're making sure that it makes sense to you. And obviously this is 10 minutes instead of 30 minutes, because honestly, people a lot of times want to get to long stories and long calls. Then you can't really squeeze in as many as you can that the booking bot will book you. If anything, this is a starter conversation. But I'll even say, 15 minutes is more than enough to get the conversation going, right? And go from there. So that is a key, making sure you're available. You can even select Saturdays and Sundays if you want this bot to book for you. And honestly, this is going to be available all the time at any one moment, because you don't know when sometimes the weekends are when people actually are looking to book their appointments, because that's when they're free. They're not busy. So 8 to 5, 9 to 5, certain hours you want to set, I would say looks good to me. We confirm that, right? We close that out. We don't need it for now. But what we want to do now really quickly, and that is to go back into and fully set up. We're going to edit this a little bit further. And this is more of the advanced setup, right? When you click save, it just sets up the main things, just like we put. But now you can go in and actually put description, add it to a group. All right, we don't have a group set up right now. All those details, right? Change the color, a little more extensive availability. If you really want to get granular, you can do that. Look busy, right? You can add like a 60%, like saying, hey, I don't always encourage it. I want to just get appointments booked, right? So I leave that off. Recurring meetings, right? This won't be a recurring. And then again, meeting interval is 15. So meeting duration 15. You can set up a pre-buffer time to be prepared. Like if you want to say, hey, I want 15 minutes before the call and 15 minutes after my calls. So to give me a little bit of buffer, you need to get a break, get some water, prepare for the next call, things like that. Absolutely encourage it, right? Just save that. It'll pop down to the next section. Forms. This pretty much is preset already, which is fantastic, with all the things you need to be, legitimate. Also show up with regards to the consent checkbox. That's pretty important. You want that ready for the people who are signing up or getting the appointments, because you're getting their phone number and a email, right? Typically, so you want this sent out to inform them that this is what's happening. This is also keeps you on the approved side when you want to apply for your SMS and text approval for A2P, right? You need that. That's part of this, which I'll get into on another video. This takes us to the emails. We want to make sure that there's a few in here that are going to fire. You can use the app to get these for yourself, which is fantastic. Works really simple. The in-app side for you as the person that's setting the calendar up, right? Whoever calendar this is, you want them to have the ability to get these notifications in-app. But I always say as well, for the sake of everyone, it should also be included for the contacts, right? Regarding emails so that they don't miss anything. And so I'll turn on a lot of these to make sure you can go in there and fine tune it, right? It's already got a base kind of a copy, but you want to go and personalize, put an image, things like that. You can absolutely do that. And then make sure the in-app is on as well and save it. And then when you close it, setting save, you'll see the difference here. This is now lit up. Here, appointment booked, status confirmed. Definitely want that, right? So we'll highlight that and both, save, go in and customize it, make it your own regarding brand and style, give them the ability to cancel, reschedule, reminders, all the way to follow up, right? I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to show you the basics. You can allow Google to be able to send invitations and update emails for the attendees if you'd like. That's an option. And assign contacts right here is also with respective calendar. If you have more than one person actually in this calendar, like a round robin, this is just for one person, so we're going to leave that. That's going to be automatic. Allow rescheduling, allow cancellation of that. You can set to a time frame or just automatic. As soon as a person reaches out that they can't cancel, you don't have to be set before the meeting like you want to require them, though. Sometimes you're like, hey, I need at least a half hour before the call to know that, hey, they can't make it, so they can maybe fill in that gap. And that's more than fine to put like a 30-minute window, allow cancellation, right? So you can actually replace that with another person who can make it. So feel free to do that. Then here is the additional notes that get sent, right? Which is fantastic. It's actually making sure that if they need to reschedule or cancel, they get these links in there. That'll be inside the messages. Then last thing, customization. So this is more fine tuning. Put a logo in there or an image that you like. Neo, prefer that as opposed to the classic now. It looks pretty clean. Everything looks good. Then you can take, and if you have custom code, you want to tweak that. Don't recommend it unless you really know what you're doing with code. Then you go in here, and this is the, what it's going to look like, pretty clean. Now here's what I'll say. The calendar, if someone just clicked this, they'll be able to read this, clients that you want actually coming in here. But because we're talking about a booking bot, they're not necessarily going to come into a calendar on a page, but that's for your sake to see, hey, does it work? It actually does, and those are the availability of my calendar that I put in there. It's actually looking good, just to confirm, right? You go in there and save it, good to go. Now, we have that bot ready. Again, a booking bot is good to go. It's personal, it's set active, ready. Now, second step, so we'll go back to this step here. Now that we're ready, we've set the availability and everything, we're going to create a trigger called custom replied and select your desired communication channel. So right now we're going into setting up a trigger, create a trigger, right? This trigger is in the workflows, and you'll see that section up here. To be specific, as you're going through the workflows right here, AI booking bar workflow configuration, I've already created them, but booking automations, I'm happy to share these. This one is the response, and that's the trigger we want to make sure someone responds. Super straightforward, and it's nothing hard. You're going to just create a bot or create a workflow, right? You're going to title it response booking bot. And as you go into this initial, it's response booking bot date, and put the day and time, which would help you keep track of what's going on. Like I always make sure you go in here, you go custom replied, right? That's the first thing you're going to do. And you can refine this with reply to workflow, like right inside of workflow, and go to specific step in that they replied to. For example, I'm going to scroll down, responded to new lead workflow. So we'll put that here, right? They responded to that. We save that trigger. Obviously, I'm not going to do that right now, but that's what would work. Pretty straightforward in that it responded to it. Then as they do, this is where we pick the AI booking conversation AI bot, right? And then this is where we also put these specific prompts I was telling you about for the conversation. So you're dropping this, the name of your bot, give it that name. Friendly concierge, I always say that it's best to use it as a scheduling concierge. Typically, if you put AI bot, then you know they're talking to AI bot. You don't have to worry about trying to explain it, but you can use it in the name. It could be Hyperbot, right? Hi, you are Hyperbot, and you are the scheduler for my business, your business name, right? Going all the way through, taking these steps of filling these parts, which are very important. Like I said, your appointment booking concierge with what focus, niche focus, and mission. What are we doing? The mission of the company. And then the second part is to fill in additional instructions, right? You want to be very clear that the bot is going to communicate a specific way. So you're like, hey, this is the first name of the person, right? That value you're going to drop in here so that the bot doesn't go off, right? It uses their name, makes it personalized, and this custom value is going to be pretty huge for that to be nailed, because it'll plug it in as soon as someone's personally typed back their name, information you already have. Then the bot is say, this is, Hyperbot, your concierge with your business name. I'm here to assist you in scheduling your call with us. Are you still interested in moving forward? Right? Simple, straightforward. You can go line by line, filling the details. And again, this is exactly what we put. And if anything, we've refined it a little bit, even more for this mock. It's a take from here, right? In this workflow at the bottom, having to do with the financial advisor, right? So that's what we're taking from their example, right? So then when we're finished putting all the information details in this section, we're going to go down. We're going to maximize the messages, right, of 25. We're going to time out after at max. So 24, right, timeout value. And if you try to go higher, it'll tell you that's as much as you got. 24 hours, right? And then it resets. Then the SMS, we can pick SMS, and then we're going to choose SMS on this one. We're going to drop down to wait before the responding and how much time. We always say 30 seconds max, right? The bot will wait 30 seconds, but then respond then. So it feels a little more natural, not too, immediate where it's full on AI. Then you save this, okay? When you do, you're not going to do much more than after that, but you're going to make and do this exact same workflow, create another workflow, exact same. And then that second part is going to be, instead of choosing, you're just going to copy the actual workflow down to keep everything the same. And you're going to choose Facebook and then Instagram, and you'll have it for all three. So you're able to do that communication through those channels as well, include them. So it's pretty awesome. So the first thing to think about, this is to keep things very sort of simple, right? A trigger, right? What is it that's going to fire off an automation is the trigger called customer replied. So that means someone replied inside of a conversation, right? They're already having conversation with you. They've had either social media or text or something like that. They replied in a positive way, right? They've reached back out. You've had a conversation previous, right? The person that's like needing the leads, they've already started talking to people, and you've got leads coming in. And imagine on a social channel where people are like already having conversations, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" Sometimes the first thing you get is that question. And if a customer, you think about it, they replied positively, like, "Yes, I'm interested in what you have to talk about." That's what we're thinking of, a positive reply. And that's the great thing about GoHighLevel. It understands that. Then we're going to create an action called AI, a booking bot, right? That's what it's going to take. Plug in the prompt, connect the channel, right? And then run the test. So those are the next steps. And it's pretty straightforward. We don't have to do a ton, but if we go back to high level, we're going to go down to the conversation AI is one of them. That's one way to use this AI bots. This is the great thing about it is you can set up for booking appointments. The three choices right now are these. And I would say first things first is you're going to set up the appointment booking, right? And go through the steps and follow the prompts. And it is super cool. You have SMS here, but you could always go do the drop down and also add Instagram and Facebook, and you're good to go. You could even do chat widget if you have that a website you want to put this chat widget on, right? To chat with you or a live chat, either or. But for now, we're just going to show these three. Suggestive, right? That's when it actually takes on a conversation and you can look at what they suggest and then confirm that and send it out, or full autopilot where it sends messages automatically for you. And I would use it for what it's worth. Give the bot a name, right? So just for the sake of time, we're going to call it Hyperbot because it's excited to help you, right? So then we move on to the AI trial. That is specifically for, if it's ready for trial, right? Ask questions based on training data. So we'll do that after. I would say get this thing right, then we can do that trial next. Then business name, if you want to put your business name in there. Otherwise, it's going to pull the default from the location, right? So that's up here in your business information. It'll pull that from the location. And then next is your autopilot mode. So do you want this to be responding wait time of 2 minutes? And you can hover over that exclamation, the I, in the circle with the lowercase I, and it's just up to you. We prefer under a certain amount of time. As quickly as possible is good, but not like bullet fast without any time. Then it really makes it clear that it's bot. So you can do anything from like 30 seconds to 2 minutes, right? We'll take the sooner the better. More time that passes, the person's just going to move on. Then maximum messages the bot can send in a conversation is, and then right now it's set at 10, right? But let's see, if we were to reflect back, how many, messages do you want? 20, 25? That's pretty good average. You don't want to go really far. Otherwise, look what it says. Please enter a valid max message between 1 to 25. So that would be pretty huge, is just to keep it right around that max, even under 20. But right now what we're talking about is maximum messages a bot can send, right? 20 to 25. It's decent. Then send a bot to sleep when I send a message manually. And that's pretty important. If a client wants to take over and they run the conversation, that's important. If they're like, we've had the example of someone running a company who does trash collection, removal, junk removal, things like that. And if they're getting leads coming in, the person's like having a conversation with them we don't want the bot taking over if it's more of a personal thing and they're like, hey, just wanted to say thank you for picking up all that trash you did. Junk was, piling up. We're grateful. And or just a friend reaching out. It's not an appointment, right? Via social. So this would be key. It sends it to sleep instead of doing everything automatically on a workflow. If someone's going through a workflow, you want the workflow to do its thing and let it be, right? So we put it to sleep. Otherwise, you can leave this going all the time, and it'll keep running things for a long time. And here's what the current plan is, and I'll show you real quickly, is 0.2 cents, right, per response. It's pretty straightforward, pretty clean. You could also do the monthly where you're paying, I think it's $97 if you wanted to. I can show you here. Let's see. So if you wanted to go this route, this is what's cancel anytime, $147 per month. So unlimited everything, right? During that season of AI, you could do $97 a month if I remember correctly, but it's up to you. You can pay as you go or pay, and then obviously you can bill that to your clients. So they end up paying for that. Then the next thing to do after you're done, you save that. I'm going to save that right there. Then bot training. And this is the epic part right here. So you can do exact URL, all URLs with the path, all URL in this domain. And then think about this. You pick a domain that you know that this client has a good website, solid website. You could even, look up someone local that's like, I know they need my help. They're a financial planner, like locally to you. And the company is like, they have a cool site. They have decent information, a lot of data. They've worked a lot on it for at least 10 years, but they need a bot. They need help setting appointments. You could pick that domain, all URLs in this domain, and it would be that whole domain name.com, right? And obviously you get the full domain, drop it in here, get data, you click get data, it starts doing its thing. And it could take a few minutes. It populates so much, and you confirm what, exactly you want to keep. That's a great way to start training it for the company, right? For it to answer questions accordingly, like the way you said. And you want it to make sure that these do not get off track. So that would be huge to have the right data, the right information. People asking for specific services that aren't included, the bot would tell them, oh, we don't do that here. Sorry, but, maybe there's someone else that can help you with that. So it will keep things on track, right? And that's huge. So then there, you could also do a Q&A section, right? You basically, almost everyone nowadays should encourage it, is most popular questions coming in, you want to answer those. Have them posted in here and then answer immediately. It's going to keep the bot tested, ready at any one moment and fully trained, as well as answer according to how you want it to, right? So that's just one way to get this thing prepped and ready. Then in real time, you could ask a question to your bot. Obviously, this isn't on yet, but testing, right, is important. What kind of service, like say you jumped on, what kind of services you can do a test after you do it. Do you have for financial, put that in here as example, wealth building. And of course it's going to answer right away, but it will do its best pulling off wiki. We offer a range of services like retirement planning, investment management, and tax planning, looking to dive into any specific area. See, so it's asking, and you can refine it. If it isn't good enough, you put a thumbs down or hit the AI, this spot here, or the actual button, and refine it, right? Go back and refine things. And here's the prime example right from the beginning. Just a quick test to tell you where you're at. Love that. So you can refresh it, right? Start over, try do questions. And here are the bot goals. So this is pretty, self-explanatory in that there's already internally a setup. But what we like to do is set up prompt guidelines. You go there and you click this, and this will take you to Lead Connectors, which is GoHighLevel, the AI Prompting 101. It'll take you through a lot of this. Self-explanatory in that there's a lot of information, but you can always glean from what they're saying to avoid what's better. So for example, this one here, tasks, specify instructions, objectives. what they say is worse is if you're just saying you're required to qualify customers by asking them questions, then asking them to book an appointment if they are not interested. Just collect their details, right? You really want to knock this out of the park. Go with this format, which will be much better. Script flow. So I'm asking them something like, what kind of marketing solution are you looking for? Right? It tells you specifically the style, right? You can even fine tune it to your more of a personalized touch, how you want it to respond with professional, kind, and the attitude of the bot, right? And personality, you can refine that as well. So that's just a guideline. This is a great resource. But like I always say, you can start with what's here, and it gives you already internal prompt, which is pretty straightforward, but you fine tune it to make it yours. And then you can make, at first, it's set up, you cannot help with appointment cancellations or rescheduling, right? It doesn't do that. Just be aware. But it can schedule appointments. So if you want to do scheduling, you make sure that you do that. Click that here at the bottom, and appointment booking is the key. We pick the actual calendar, which we're going to be using, AI booking bot, right? And then select these would apply if you see, hey, I actually want to be sending them to the booking link, right? Don't book appointments, only send the booking link so that the person can choose it. Bot will also pause, right, after this booking is done. It won't continue to send any more responses. You click that, trigger workflow. If there's a specific workflow, you're like, oh, I want this to fire as soon as that's done. And it will be this one here where they say they've gone through processing and they're like, oh, well, I want to make sure that they opened the email tag, right? Click this workflow is going to fire. And this is just an example. I'm not going to go with that, but from the get-go, it'll fire off a workflow, right? That's your trigger. Then transfer employee to post-appointment booking, right? That's great too, to transfer to a specific person on the team, if it's you or if it's one of their employees on their crew, then you can select that and pick them. So that would be huge. And then you just save that part and you're done. So that's it for this part. Refining the actual copy. And I'm going to get to that next. And what kind of information, because again, this is just the AI, conversation AI. So within the conversations that happen in the threads, this can take over and run it again on auto, or like we chose at the beginning, or suggestive, or you can have it completely off. And I do recommend using that. It's well worth the time of having this set up. Then voice AI agents. So that's the next level. And that would say, very simple, straightforward, create the AI, name it what you want to, business name included. You can test run the voices, right? What you prefer. There's several in here of different takes and different styles and British, everything you could think of. You can run a test by sending it to your call. Right now it's only inbound, not outbound. So if someone does call the number, that's a huge part of this. Say, have you reached, and this is the initial message, right? Hey, you reached Summit Life. How can I help you today? It really is clean, works well. That's the first step. Then you take this next step by setting up the agent personality and actions. And again, you want them to collect data. If they're going to be having a conversation, you want to make sure that I would recommend having all three: name, email, address, and contact issue, right? Those are the main ones right now, but you can also add, I'll show you how to add a phone number with that, because obviously there's texting, so their phone number should be in these conversation pieces, but you want more information from them. You can ask that, what they're having problems with, what their address, if they're looking to purchase or having problems with something that got delivered. This is an issue. They're reaching out. This is immediate. Think about this as your immediate help in that customer service realm. So it will automatically add a call summary, right, as a note to the contact. And then trigger workflow if you want to do that here when call is completed, or receive an email notification when a post call completed. And it's definitely wise to do those. I won't do that right now. I'm just showing you what's available. Switch to advanced mode And that's what I would say is jump in here first, because this is where you can fine tune the prompts, right? And like I said, the prompts that we already have created, which we highly recommend using, these are decent. It's not horrible, but it's not. Just over the years of working with AI and learning this, like putting in time, really pays off when you know what kind of prompts again. So we put those all in this section here. Create the prompt exactly as shown, right? And definitely recommend using that. It's really going to get you better results. You can also go with, and I've said this many times, that we're not the only ones saying using this AI prompting, right, for a really good guide. Again, we're not going to say it's not worth the time. It is very much so, taking the time to take a look at this, just to review it, right, and give yourself some insights before you get going. But this will save you time as well if you're using this type of prompt, just as an example. So plug in the prompt, then connect the channel, right? So when a customer replies, again, they replied to one of those first initial triggers, it should be like, hey, let's get them to the call, straight to a call transfer, right? And say the bot is going to tell them, hey, we'd love to get information for you. Let me relay this to so-and-so as the specialist or our, teammate who's going to take the call from here and help you get your specific answers, things like that. You can do that. You can also trigger a workflow. You can update contact fields, right? Different specific fields. And that's what I would say is get even more information. Find out as much as you can as you're going to really refine this, to make sure that you're covering your bases. So that way, if there's a next call, second, third call, when someone's actually saying they want to buy and purchase, you have all this information previously. And it's just super helpful. So I'm going to cancel that. That's where you step into, and you can, truly fine tune what type of information you gather. And as well as you can send an SMS, right? And this could be for someone to be like, okay, when should the SMS delivery take place? So it actually asks you all the details right here, which is pretty cool. And then the agent will say this just before sending the SMS, like, please keep an eye out, we're sending you an SMS. It's pretty cool. I mean, it all does it automated to get, if someone's really just, we've set this up for our clients, or we set it up for ourselves as well. When a person's like, okay, thank you for reaching out, but I don't have time to talk. Is there a way I can come back, reach back out to you in a future date? You're like, yes, I'm just going to send you a quick SMS so you can pick a time and day that works better for you. And then they can pick according to the calendar, right, that you send the link within here. And you can put even the calendar link inside this section right here as a way for them to go through. Hey, after they've asked questions and they say, I don't have time, then say, here, send this link when someone needs to book a different time. So trigger workflow, we already talked about that. Then you can also go back to the basic mode if you'd like to keep it that way, but I would keep it there, then go next, and then availability. According to the plan, the basic plan, we could upgrade to the newest one. We can set up the number that we've chosen within our system, which that takes a moment to make sure we're using the right number. And again, I won't get into that this time, but here are your outgoing email ability and phone numbers. When you go to pick a phone number, you could do that super, super simple. I click save. It's not going to do anything because we don't have a number. With this plan, it's going to spin and be created, but we still have to take the step of making sure that our phone number, which I'll say right here, it's a whole nother explanation to A2P and all that, which I'm not going to get into, but setting up the A2P process, right, to make sure you're approved. And this is all has to be done to be able to send SMS, MMS within the US, right? It has to be applied. You have to apply for it, and it's worth its money in gold. Once you're approved, you go through the process of sending this form in. And obviously, when you register, they'll tell you immediately it's off if it's not good. Individual company, right, with a nonprofit or whatever it may be. So just make sure you copy that exactly, and then go through the second part of campaigns. There are prompts to show you the process, and then all the way through, you're going to go through it and it'll show you first step verified, cleared and approved, and then the campaign verified, and then you're good to go. So that's it for this time around. Hopefully that's helpful to you. I'm going to go back so that you get things going, because when you run that test, you can run a test and a call the number for the conversation AI or the voice agent, right? You test it and you see what kind of results you get. Does it make the appointment? Does it sound clean, right? Did it forget something and refine it? And the conversation AI going on inside of conversation. So you go back to this other side. This conversations, when leads start coming in, right, you start having that conversation in real time. You see this in the middle zone right here, this section. It'll start filling up with texts and messages back and forth with the client. You'll be surprised how much you accomplish. And just for the sake of showing you, I'm going to give you a glance into our own account and show you in real time questions, incoming conversations using AI, right, to set up appointments, set up real-time calls, and doing it for you. Like, none of this stuff did I send a text to outward, it's them. And then emails back and forth, right? It all happens real time. You can watch it and then take over if you're like, hey, well, I like the way this conversation is going, but I want to make sure that they're getting served, right? So then you jump in there and take over that conversation. So just an example, and I appreciate you taking the time to be, willing to watch this through. It's very clear and easy. And again, I'll put a link in the description to grab a copy of this, as well as if you don't have an account, make sure to grab that. You can definitely get that free trial, 30-day free trial, and then keep on moving forward. We are absolutely here to help any moment. Hope this is huge for you, and it's going to give you that breakthrough and understanding how to use this AI booking bot. And we'll talk again soon on the next one. Have a great one.